been waiting on this weather to kick in. What a difference a week makes. So it's
You lie
really
a
nice
lot,
to be out
but
here.
this time you're telling the truth.
Yeah, I do.
You know, you've been calling it balmy and other
It's
lying.
actually beautiful today.
I didn't mind the snow, but
Yeah. All right. So this is Three Guys Who Love Sports. We're here to talk about sports and help guys that are going through some tough times, be it physically or mentally. And if we can take their mind off what they're going through for an hour a week, and you help somebody for an hour a week, and they all help everybody, the world will be a better place. So happy to be here. My name's Chuck Burge, along with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney. Robert, how are you?
I'm good. Thinking about helping people mentally. But if they got issues mentally, then we should be able to distract them quickly enough to where they don't even remember for that first
Exactly.
hour.
That they had mental
Bam.
issues? Yeah.
Man, I forgot I had some issues.
Yep. So as always, here at Miller's Own House, and we were just discussing this before the show, next week will be our 3rd-year anniversary of doing the show and our 300th episode. So we have been
300.
we have been sticking around a while. So pretty cool. I don't know. I don't tell you this? That Red Hair Brewery closed.
Sorry, not 300, 150.
You dog.
150
I mean-
per show.
150
No.
per show. I thought 300 total. No.
No, because
closer
we didn't
to-
start the
Hey,
second one till
275.
August.
Don't tell me. Call me a liar. Larry's the one in line.
No. I was thinking 100 shows a year, but
There-
it was 50 shows a
There,
year.
your problem was your thinking.
He was.
Yeah.
He,
Larry doesn't know math.
Larry
I did
was
the
in-
math wrong.
Larry was in Mensa for a long time before they figured out it was the wrong application he had filled out.
But it is our 3-year anniversary.
That
It
is
is our,
correct.
That much
it is
is
our
correct.
3-year anniversary and 150th show.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's for 350th, 150 Three Guys shows.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right, so we're here at Miller's as we have been for 2.5 years now, which is fantastic. And they always provide us with some grub. I'm going back to Mimi's Fiesta Bowl, which I haven't
Shocker.
had in probably 2 months. Probably been 2 months since I've had it.
You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I have a feeling Mimi's has only gotten better since you said it down.
There's an old joke called "The abscess makes the fart go Honda." Have you ever heard that one? I'm
no,
going to tell that
but
one to you. So that's pretty funny.
It sounded like a haiku of something I just said.
It's a dentist joke, but it was pretty funny. What, Larry? What'd you get?
I got the cheeseburger.
Robert Cheeseburger too, didn't you? All right, let's get our Ron Smith commercial in, and we'll introduce Nathan again.
I think you just did. Making preparations for when you're not around anymore is not easy. Nobody likes to think about their own mortality, and we can talk about this next week. Doesn't always fit into the big picture. And that's why you should contact our friend Ron Smith at Senior Life Insurance. Whether you're being buried or cremated, costs keep going up. But you can lock in a price today and take this final expense off your to-do list. Do your loved ones a favor and take care of your final expense so that when your time does come knocking, they won't have to worry about it. If you're age 1 to 85, they have a plan ready for you. So please contact our friend Ron and his team at 440-561-0758.
What's their number?
The big number on the screen, 440-561-0758.
And thank you, Ron, for being the sponsor. And welcome back, our good friend, Mr. Nathan Bates.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Glad to be back. I'm getting close. I think this is fourth. Huh? Fourth time I've been on the show. I
I was thinking third,
I was
but I
thinking
don't
maybe,
know.
yeah.
Could
But
be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Fourth is
high
right
enough that
around
I'm
the
losing
corner.
track.
Fourth is right around the
That's
corner.
about as high as I can count,
Hey,
anyways.
whenever you can't remember, that's a good thing.
That was I
Nathan's
agree.
world is about to change.
That-
Nathan's expecting a baby in 2 weeks.
First one. Yep, February 17th. So just over 2
My
weeks.
dad's birthday is the 18th. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My mom's is February 7th. Mine's March 1st. My wife's was like a week ago, so he's
So
right in the middle. Right in the
That's
middle of all
funny.
of us.
So we know it's a guy?
We do.
Do we
boy.
know what we're gonna name him?
Noah James is his
Noah
name.
James. Noah Bates.
Noah Bates.
So let me just throw this out there. As of right now, which it is January 29th, Nathan is not quite certain how many times he's been on the episode. In 3 weeks, he won't even remember what his middle name is.
Anything
how
that's
it all
not written
goes.
down is going in one ear out the other. That's correct.
So, was there anything on TV this weekend?
No,
Some football.
nothing on TV.
Got some championship football games. They were, first one was really boring. It wasn't nearly as close as I thought it was going to be, obviously. Robert and I think we missed both games, didn't we? Because we took Buffalo and Washington.
I don't know.
I think that's right. Isn't that right, Larry? So we both missed a game, but we, as our tiebreaker, we picked total points in both games combined, and it was.
You were only off by 60 or so.
Well, I was right on it going into the last drive of the first game, but for both games total. So 74 was not close. They had 78, I think, in the first game. It was brutal. 55-23, wasn't that the final?
55-23. You know, it's hard to have a good game when Saquon's on. And, you know, I like to throw myself under that proverbial bus one more time. I've done really well in fantasy the last few years, and I have thought he was fodder for the last 2 years. Stay away from. He's garbage. He is the greatest running back I have seen in the last 25 years.
I
This
think
year was incredible.
I think he's got to move up in the MVP conversation with Allen and.
I think he's got to be the MVP.
Well, just know that typically speaking, you were probably getting ready to say Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar
That's what I was
Jackson.
going to say, too.
I know it's this way for baseball. I believe it's the same way for football. They make you vote before the playoffs start.
Yeah.
So that you're not, you know,
It's not
because
biased,
there's no way that anybody's winning besides Saquon if they watch the first or last couple of weeks of it. Hey, what'd you have last week? 220 yards. What'd you do this week? 3 more
I was gonna
scores. You know?
say.
I mean, how's that guy not get your vote? So
He definitely deserves the votes.
he does. He's and you know it's kind of funny when you when you look at how the running back position has just been, you know, knocked down another notch every single season for the last 10, and now all of a sudden here's a guy who clearly is the prize, who could possibly take the chefs out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to make our predictions today for the game in 11
No.
days. We'll do it next week, but
We'll make that guy do it. But
definitely
I'm
make
just saying,
Nathan do it. Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, the Chefs had a great offense a lot of years ago, and their offense has been getting worse, but their defense has been going up. I think this is the only person that could probably do what he does, and you know, wow, it's just been an amazing run watching the Eagles, pun intended, as far as run.
Right.
Yeah, it was an amazing run. He was very, very talented. He had 3 touchdowns over the weekend.
Yep, had 3 more.
Yeah, crazy stuff. The other game I know hurt Robert more than it hurt most of us. I mean, I was for the Bills. I wanted him to win.
Same. I was, too.
Very, very entertaining football game.
That one was much
Yeah.
more entertaining and fun to watch than the one before it.
Yeah, you know, I'm a Bills, Falcons, Browns fans, guys. I mean, you know, don't worry about me.
the Browns.
I take it on the chin with the
If
best
anything,
of them.
this is the easiest of the 3
Yeah,
franchises
yeah,
in
you
the
know.
past 20 years.
So they're right there. What do you want to know?
It was a good game, though.
It was a good game.
I thought Josh Allen made the line to gain on that 4th and a foot.
I thought he did.
I thought
too.
he did too, and it looked pretty clear to me that he made the line to gain.
But you know, there's an old post that our friend of the show, Ian King, put on Facebook. Chuck wouldn't have seen it because he's locked out.
I'm blocked out.
But you know, it's that old picture of the Cyclops that they use at tennis tournaments.
Yeah.
And where, you know, here's the ball. Hey, guess what? That's it. Now, I know you can't do the exact same thing. There's bodies everywhere. There's got to be something that is currently better than what we have. And, you know, and once again, that was not a game where I throw the officiating under the bus. We didn't win. Guess what? Nobody beats Reed and Mahomes. But I'd like to see us get a little better in our officiating and what can be reviewed and what can't be reviewed.
I think they're going to talk about that some, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, as I've said before, I don't think you can take the human element out of the game
Yeah.
totally. I would like to see that the Cyclops is a great idea. There got to be a way where they can laser the line to game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
They can do it with the GPS chip.
I
in
was
the
going to
ball.
say, you
yeah,
can track the
soccer
ball.
soccer uses a GPS chip in the ball.
Oh God! Do you know the conspiracy theorists that still think Patrick Ewing had a bent or a cold? You know, oh, you got a chip in the ball. Oh no! I mean, but whatever you got to do. there's something that
There's a
should
way
be
to
done.
there's a way to improve it.
And let me throw this out there, and this is slightly on a different tangent as far as what can be reviewed and what can't. Remember in college when they say something and they don't call a penalty, they can call a late hit. They call it a targeting penalty. And then what they do is they go to review, and if it's not a targeting penalty, then there is no penalty. So,
Unless they call it a personal foul with targeting.
correct.
Then the personal foul stays.
Right.
Correct. But they did a lot of that at the beginning of the year. Towards the end of the year, they almost got away
They
from
just
ever.
call targeting.
They just
Yep.
call the targeting. That way, if we were right, that guy's gone, and if we're wrong, no harm,
No
no foul.
penalty at
And,
all.
You, you look at college, you're like, okay. Usually we don't give college football props for
yeah.
being cutting edge, but hopefully the NFL can learn a little something from that.
Yeah, I think the NFL will make changes. My biggest question, I wonder if they'll stick with the kickoff the way it is.
I like it. I mean, I think you need to adjust the rules so that, if the ball goes out of bounds, it doesn't automatically get spotted at the 25.
At the 50 or whatever it is,
But-
it moves it out pretty bad.
But we've seen more kick return touchdowns this year than any year over the last probably 25 or 30 years. It's just made the game a lot more exciting.
The only thing I didn't like about it before the season started, and I'm still there, is the onside kick that
Yeah.
nobody's expecting. The way the Saints started the second half of that Super Bowl when they beat, that can never happen again.
Right.
So for that, I'm sad. But all in all,
indifferent.
kickoff was what the kickoff was.
Yeah, I'm pretty indifferent on change.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I guess we'll find out after the Super Bowl. I am glad they made the possession change in overtime. I think that was the best move they'd made in a long time.
I wouldn't
With both teams
mind.
possession of the ball.
I wouldn't mind a 4th and 20 instead of an onside kick, and if you get it, you get the ball.
Well, and that's what
If you get it, you keep the ball.
Yeah.
That's what was it? USFL
Yep.
did that one,
Yeah.
and then it started getting. But it's an interesting thing. You could be down 21, and then all of a sudden somebody like Jaden Daniels, who I went out on a limb and I called Jaden Daniels to a bunch of friends the other day. I said he will be the greatest comeback quarterback in the history of the NFL by the time he retires. And Alex's dad, who works here, he's like, that's kind of strong. I'm like, he's the perfect
potential's
combination of throwing and running, and the way these
The way it
fourth quarter
started.
offenses or defenses run, I don't know.
Yeah. So, happy to see Harrison Butker back in the playoffs, being a Tech guy, or in the Super Bowl. But New Orleans will be kind of crazy next weekend. Not this weekend, but the next, right?
Not that it's not always crazy.
Yeah. Hopefully they got the security issues straightened out down there.
Hopefully they got the power figured out. Last time, didn't they lose the power to the Harbaugh Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah. They did.
Hey, third quarter, don't worry, we're just going to
Yeah.
take a little break here.
So,
everybody.
Technical difficulties.
Next week we'll do a whole segment on maybe past Super Bowls and what the greatest Super Bowls were and which ones sucked and all
I like that.
So that'll be kind of fun.
Absolutely.
So let's have a couple more weeks to talk about football. Then we got to get into some other sports, which really kind of stinks.
Basketball?
but we will.
Baseball,
Yeah,
golf,
Now we have 6 new football coaches, or 5 new, and 1 still yet to be hired, right?
5 and 1 still yet to be hired. The Saints haven't hired a new coach yet.
But they're pretty
interviewing-
close to somebody.
Kellen Moore.
Kellen
They've
Moore.
interviewed him twice. Who used to be the Cowboys offensive coordinator, right?
And then
Now
he
he's
was the
at Philadelphia.
Chargers offensive coordinator.
And then this
he
year-
was the
Carry on.
Eagles offensive coordinator.
Is technically the Eagles offensive coordinator. In case you're wondering what's going on, Chuck has been locked out of his Facebook account for a long time, and he's really trying to get back onto Facebook. It's kind of like crack, some people just got to have that fix. Chuck's looking for a fix, but he's back.
I'm back. That wasn't the call I needed to take. So really,
You're down.
Schottenheimer's the biggest change, right?
I can't hear you.
Schottenheimer.
There you go. He should be back.
Schottenheimer's the biggest change.
I think one of the biggest changes is I think Ben Johnson.
Right? Yeah, I can't hear me, Larry, at all.
No, nobody can hear you.
Yeah.
There we go. You're back up.
Am I back up?
There you go.
Okay.
You know,
the wire
the
when you got
the Bears did a great job. You know,
Got Johnson?
got Ben Johnson. The one problem that you look at there, one thing that we always say we don't want to do to our rookie quarterbacks or our young quarterbacks is change the scheme on them. Well, clearly, here's Caleb. Caleb's had 1 year. Scrap everything you think you know and
Start over.
and start over again. So that's going to be a little difficult, but at least they've got somebody interesting there. The one I find so interesting is Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete's back in
Very
town.
much,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Pete knows how to assemble a team. I always throw Pete up there just below Jimmy Johnson as far as a coach who can look at a college kid, regardless of what uniform he's in and who he's playing against, and go, that guy,
Yeah.
I can play with that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And he does such a good job at it. You know, if even if the Raiders only get him for a few drafts,
Yeah.
that could be
Change things big time.
absolutely big time.
Yeah, I always liked Pete Carroll. Even when he was at Southern Cal, I thought he did a good job. He obviously did great things with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm a little surprised they let him go. Actually,
Well, you know, he'd been there a long time, and I have a feeling Pete lets you know he's the smartest guy in the room sometimes, and
yeah.
probably
Other than the one call he made, hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch and let him score a touchdown. But other than that,
and you know, it'd always be interesting to ask, you know, did you just tell your offensive coordinator you call the plays? I mean, you know, it probably wasn't Pete that even had anything to do with that call.
Yeah.
The one that I still don't like, and I got nothing really against the guy, but Vrabel.
yeah,
I just don't know what Vrabel is bringing to the table except for one of my own guys.
yeah. 1 year for Mayo. I mean, I thought they cut him short, but we'll see.
And so now you're getting a defensive guy, kind of, you know, I don't want to throw him quite into the Dan,
Quinn.
Quinn.
No.
Campbell.
Dan Campbell, big,
Yeah,
let's go
yeah.
get somebody. But you know, same thing that goes for before. You got two rookie quarterbacks, they're changing everything. So
All right.
that's not exactly very good for them either.
All right. Well, we got a lot. Like I said, next week we'll talk some more NFL football. Talk about the upcoming Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Eagles. But we're going to move on now to some commercials and talk some great athletes.
Joshua Smith and his wife Tammy are both graduates of Kennesaw State College. He's been practicing law for 24 years, specializing in sports and entertainment law, while continuing in criminal defense, civil litigation, juvenile and personal injury law, and he's ready to represent you all the way from your small town to the Supreme Court and any appellate court in between. With all the new rules regarding NIL and cash payments to athletes, they are placing a new emphasis on Kennesaw State University student athletics to help our student athletes better navigate some of the bigger issues that have tripped up so many. Give them a call tomorrow at 706-217-2095.
What's that number?
It's that big one on the screen, 706-217-2095.
And we thank you, Joshua, for being a sponsor of Three Guys Who Love Sports. There are a lot of places to get your oil change in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castrol Express, Kennesaw Express Lube, or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business, and you'll find Brian under a car or hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer
Castrol Products.
All right. We thank you, Brian, for being a sponsor. I got to come see you. My check engine light came on today. So
Oh, brother.
I got to come in
no.
and see you. Not happy about it, but it is what it is.
You know, when I went to go see him at his Lost Mountain store the one time, his neighbor had like a low limb that was kind of blocking his sign. I was like, you know, you're a sponsor of mine. I'm coming to do a little landscaping duty. If I need to cut down limbs. So I was actually driving by it the other day, had my saws on in the back. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. Boom, it was already done. It was perfect. So just know that I was coming to help you, but you clearly took
Got it
care of it
taken care
already.
of.
I can't wait till I get back on Facebook and see all your posts. I miss that. It's funny when you go without Facebook for a week. I feel naked. I feel like I can't check and see what's
I
going on
wouldn't use
anywhere.
that to describe how you feel.
I went without it for 52 years. I wouldn't know anything about a week. I haven't been without it a week
I've had it
since
for 16 years, so it's very odd.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right.
I'm barely that old.
So let's get on to our greatest athletes. We had a great discussion last week about number 44. I don't know that the discussion this week will be that exciting as it was last week. I mean, we had Aaron McCovey and Riggins, and of course I settled on Pete Maravich, which I thought was my number 44. But there's not a lot of 45s out there. Michael Jordan wore 45, but I just can't vote for him as a number 45.
Not at that number.
He's
yeah.
23.
He's 23.
Yeah,
forever.
every great highlight you've ever seen. So
If you're going by what they did while they were wearing the number,
correct.
it feels like a no-brainer.
It does. It does. What was your number when you pitched? Did you have the
20.
same number the whole time?
20.
Yeah,
Not throughout the minor leagues for 7 years. I had a few different ones, but 20 was the one I tried to get. And the older I got, the better I got to pull seniority a little bit and get a number every once in a while. But
Right, you show up, low
Try.
man on the totem
yeah,
pole.
you
he's
take
like,
the one you get.
You
I
ain't
started with
getting any number,
41,
kid.
so and in college I think I started with. No, college. The reason why I was 20 was because a guy that was my height had number 20 and left when I got there, so it was open and seemed to be the right size. And you take the good numbers when you can get them, especially coming in.
What's the difference
coming
between a
early.
good number and a bad number?
Your performance.
20 and 67. You can't tell me one's better than the other there to wear on a jersey.
Yeah.
I mean,
It looks a little
67's
better.
not a bad.
I've seen basketball players
You're
with
right.
99 now, which really freaks me out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they used to not let anybody go above 55. But,
Yeah.
yeah, you know.
I wore 50 and 51.
Well, that was the other thing.
high
You can be
school.
20, and I had to be able to be that number in basketball as well. So the single digit couldn't be over 5 in high school, so I had to be.
Now,
but-
was
right.
it the same when you were in high school? When I was, we had a home
No, it was
number
not the same.
and a road number.
We had that for 1 year in like 7th grade.
Yeah,
And
'cause
then
I
where
wore
was
50 at
odds
home and
evens.
51 on the
Yeah.
road.
I was
Yeah.
22 and 23 in 7th grade, and then
Yeah.
I went to 20.
Yeah, that's wild. How things have changed. So there are a few number 45s. I think Johnny Majors was a 45. Archie Griffin was 45 at Ohio State.
Only two-time winner.
Only two-time Heisman winner, right? Yep.
Oh yeah, and I was thinking about him the other day. That stat stood for so long, and nobody ever won it as a junior. So the first thing you have to do to win it twice, you got to at least win it.
stay.
And then if you're really good, you better win it as a sophomore because you're going to pro after
Leave it.
your junior year.
Yep.
And there was a couple opportunities. There was Tebow, and then there was Johnny Football, but
and Caleb Williams.
and Caleb Williams, and everybody is
Yep.
nowhere near Archie.
Yeah, won't be Shedeur Sanders or whoever won it this year. No, what's
Travis
his name?
Hunter.
Travis Hunter, yeah.
He's going to be tired after he gets drafted.
Yeah, he probably already
played a
is.
lot, Coach.
But number 45 to me, there's no discussion. Some of these stats just blow me away, and I'll let you guess who it is out in the audience. 1968 was the year. Guy went 22 and 9,
Best pitching season. of all time.
1.12 ERA, the best in live ball era to this day.
Hold on, I want to just let's not blow past the fact that he had a sub 2 ERA and his record was 22 and 9 as a starter, going 9 innings most of the time, if not more, and had 9 losses with a season-long sub 2 ERA.
And just for the record, as you're throwing those stats out, he did have 28 complete games.
Exactly.
So
It's not like he was
28
geting pulled
complete
after
games.
5 like they are
Can I
nowadays.
finish reading my
Sorry,
stats?
You can try.
Sorry, I just
You
wanted to
can
make
try.
sure that people understood.
268 Ks, most in the majors. Complete games, 28. 13 shutouts, 5 in a row. His first Cy Young, he was MVP. And every start he had that year, he threw at least 7 innings. That is incredible.
That by itself will never happen again.
No, we
Never.
don't do it
Still
anymore,
hasn't,
right?
Yeah, it hasn't in
Yeah.
years and years and
Now,
years.
Bob threw the spitball, right? He was the one that said he threw the spitball.
He was a big slider. He just
Yeah.
had a devastating slider and threw real funky, and
Yeah, and
no one knew where it was going. Was the big one. That's effectively wild. He was the one that did it better than anybody else.
But
Maybe no one. Right?
Before I talk about Bob, I just want to throw out another Bob story that hopefully you guys heard in the last couple of weeks. Mr. Euchre, nobody knew who Bob Euchre was until he was put on the Johnny Carson show, and Johnny Carson just said, hey, we've got a two-time World Series champion coming on, and all this stuff, and then Euchre comes out. Nobody knows who he is. Has to explain to everybody who he is. But the one great story of Euchre catching Gibson,
so many.
where he starts going out to the mound, and Gibson looks at him and says, what the hell are you coming out here to tell me about? You don't know anything. And he said, I'm just going to talk to Kurt Flood out here in center field. I'm not messing with you.
My favorite euchre stories was that the way to catch a knuckleball is to wait for it to stop rolling. And then just pick it up and throw it back to the pitcher.
Oh, man,
when
he's got
catching
so
Nico.
many
He
great
was
little
so funny.
one-liners, yeah.
And I don't think he was 45, but he was so funny. He said, I'm so proud of my boys. This was his Hall of Fame induction speech. He said, this son here struck out 3 times and in the Little League Championship, and my other son gave up the winning run. I was so proud of him.
Now,
Oh, gosh.
it's amazing, though, what Bob was able to do. And the one other story for Bob and Bob, did you see hear the story about the 63 team picture?
They got
Where they're
fined.
holding
Yeah,
hands.
they got fined
took
for
a
holding
picture
hands.
holding hands, smiling.
That cracks me up,
And
just-
it got put out there. It was on and then somebody finally noticed, holy crap, Euchre and Gibson.
On that Carson show, that's when he was showing a picture, and they're showing of him like pouring champagne on his head. He
Right.
said, "This must be when y'all won the World Series." He said, "No, this is before the game one day."
Yeah, that was before the game.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the one thing, that 68 season,
There were a lot of good pitchers that year, but Bob was the cream of the crop.
but what did they change forever because of his season?
The mound height. They
That's
lowered the mound because he was so
Because-
dominant.
Because you couldn't have that mound be that high with this pitcher.
No.
Clearly a 1.12.
The most dominant
you know,
season.
all right, so you look at stuff. Wilt Chamberlain had rules made because
right.
of him.
That's right.
This was a rule
That's
because
the
of
definition
Bob
of
Gibson.
generational talent.
Generational.
But maybe even one step further, where you have to change the rules of the game because one person.
Yeah. What can we do? We're not going to
Yeah.
dunk anymore.
Yeah.
So Wilt has to do this. He can hold it up above the goal and do that, but we're not going to let him do that anymore. No way.
Yeah. So is he your number 45 as well?
By a long
By
shot.
a landslide. Yeah.
Long shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Cardinals fan. I grew up a Cardinals fan too, so I try to be unbiased. Luckily, this time it wasn't hard because I don't have to be unbiased because I think it's an obvious choice. But Bob Gibson
There's
is
nobody else that really.
There's a handful of pitchers of all time that could even ever be their own starters, relievers, and closers, and to do it that well over the course of a season, like you said, 28
Incredible. Yeah.
complete games by
Incredible.
itself is just
Now,
bananas.
did Archie Griffin didn't play much in the pros, did he?
No, I think he hurt himself.
Yeah,
shortly
he wasn't
thereafter.
successful. Yeah. All right.
But
Adam,
yeah,
have you
yeah.
got a race car driver that you'd like to mention?
I do, but I've done this shtick for 45 weeks. I give up.
Right.
I got nothing.
nothing.
I could tell you that Tyler Reddick's got 5 wins and 72 starts, and he's led a couple hundred laps, and that would probably be my race car driver of the week. But
And you now have.
yeah.
Yeah, and isn't it beautiful to know that people like Bob Gibson always played for the same team?
That's what I miss
hate the
most about
Cardinals.
sports.
What
Yeah.
I hate about Cardinals are their loving fans who watch them and cheer for them no matter what happens. But there's one of those guys where you're like, that's why they're diehards. Is people like Gibson.
Like Bob Gibson, and there's been a couple.
There is, for sure. Bob was great. He was up there. McCarver was a great Cardinal.
Hated him.
This
But
one's
he
gonna
was a
get
pretty
some-
good announcer.
This one's going to get some pushback, but I'm a big Mark McGuire guy just because that was the first ever in-person baseball game I ever watched. I watched him hit like 7 in a row into Big Mac land, and I was 4 years old in left field watching him fly over my head, and I was like, all right, well, this is incredible. And then, you learn what you learn 10 years later.
You learn
but-
how he was juiced up.
Yeah, it's still incredible, though.
That's crazy.
But yeah, no.
All right. Well, I think this is probably one of the easiest ones we've ever done.
I think it's going to get rather interesting after this.
Yeah.
Because as you start moving into odd numbers, I think it's going to be more like this where it's clear cut. It's clear cut. It's
Well,
clear
48 is easy.
We're on 45. We won't worry about 48 till we get to
cut.
48.
I don't want to hear nothing about Jimmy Johnson or nothing else.
You will hear all about 7-time
All right.
Jimmy Johnson.
All right, so let's get our brain train commercial out of the way.
Hey, it's Melissa at Brain Train Centers, the fastest growing neurofeedback provider in the world, and I have some pretty important questions for you. Do you or someone you know struggle with focus and attention, sleep, memory, or other mood issues? Or maybe you just want to achieve more in high-pressure situations. Well, what if I told you you can unlock your brain's full potential and change your life entirely through neurofeedback, a drug-free and natural approach to negative moods, and it's backed by more than 50 years of research, so it's not new. It is safe for both children and adults as you retrain the brain to create new pathways. Medication may help short-term, but they don't address the underlying issues. Just as push-ups help your physical strength, neurofeedback is personal training for your brain. With over 20 offices nationwide, don't hesitate to reach out to Brain Train Centers, as we will provide you with the highest level of compassionate care and help you achieve the mental clarity, performance, and calm you deserve. Your journey to a better quality of life starts with a brain map. Now you can retrain your brain and reset your life. So just call or text 470-291-2778 or visit BrainTrainCentersInc.com.
All right, we're back. Thank you, Meg and Melissa, for being sponsors of Three Guys Who Love Sports. Here with Robert and Mr. Nathan Bates, Daddy to be in the very near future. And
Still waiting on that dad strength to kick in, but
That what?
And dad humor and dad strength. I keep waiting on.
We'll
Hopefully
get
they
you- I
kick
got
in
you a
in
book of
couple
jokes.
Moms get the strength. You'll get the humor. Don't worry.
Hey, fair enough.
That's
I can
funny.
take that.
That's funny. So we are, a couple of weeks away from spring training. Pitchers and catchers might report next week, right?
Should be. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could.
So Nathan played some pro ball. What was this type of year like for you, Nathan?
This
a
time of
week
year
before?
went fast. Yeah, it goes fast because really, when the new year kicks in, there's the holidays. That's really you gotta kind of adjust. You don't really get to stay on a schedule, so you kind of got to adapt. It kind of goes quickly, and then when the new year hits, that's when you really start ramping up because you got a month left before. It starts getting into the really specific, really detailed. Now we're going to get on the field and start working out, and we're starting to get some live at-bats, and it really starts gearing up. So it goes quickly, but it's really, really exciting, and this was always my favorite time of the year.
Was it really?
End of February is really when it gets heated up.
So you were spring training somewhere in Arizona?
Yep,
Where-
Arizona,
where at?
Tempe.
Tempe?
Right, Angels were on the southeast side of the Phoenix Valley, right near, just off campus of Arizona State.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a bad spot to be.
No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be at all. So a lot of changes have been made in Major League Baseball since the Dodgers won the World Series in late October, I guess. And the Braves are, a part of that. They've lost a lot of players. I made some notes here. They gained a couple. They got Profer from San Diego, right?
Profile, yeah.
Yeah, Urickson, I guess is the way it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Urickson Profer. Now,
From the
did
Netherlands, I
you
think.
know him?
I didn't know him. I've seen
Yeah.
him play. He has a very good arm. One of the best in the majors, but he's great defensively, if I remember right.
He had his best offensive season ever last year.
Did he really?
So yeah, he's good.
He always
Is
felt
he-
like an Andrelton Simmons type player to me. Really, really solid defense, good arm. I mean, and he gives you a solid offense. But
Is he as good as he was last year? I don't know, but I saw this little stat, and it was a Bryce Harper, Jerkson Profar head
Comparison?
to head, and Bryce hit 30 home runs. Profar hit 24 last year, had 85 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, batted .280.
kind of flies under the radar.
He had a phenomenal year. If he can have that kind of year again, which once again there should be a lot of protection in our lineup. He should find a good place to hit.
That should be great too, because there shouldn't be a whole lot of pressure for him to have this unbelievable offensive season. And a lot of times that's when it's easiest. Like you said, he's got protection and no pressure. It should be great.
Had he been signed by somebody like the Twins or the Tigers, they're looking for, we need everything
Yeah.
you did last year. We're
Right.
putting you in our 3 spot.
Exactly.
He doesn't have that
No.
type of pressure.
Exactly.
No, especially if Acuna comes back and all the other.
Absolutely, and at some point in time, we're probably not going to bat our center fielder ninth. So when we refigure out that whole lineup, I wanted to ask you when Chuck asked you about this time of year, when you were in the minor leagues, did you ever play winter ball?
Yes.
And where did you play winter ball?
I played not quite winter ball first. I played in the fall league out in October twice. It's post not postseason. It's after the postseason of the rest of the minor leagues. It's just about a month and a half from middle of October to middle of November. And then the winter ball leagues you're talking about, like down in Dominican Republic,
Correct.
Mexico. I played in Mexico for one off season, and it's just a totally different environment.
And it's a short environment. It's 5-6 weeks
it's shortened,
or something.
Yep, and you can, and depending on your, a lot of guys go down there. Minor leaguers go down there and get more reps, and it is very good talent, different baseball, but good talent. So some organizations like to get extra looks at certain guys. Some of them, if they're on rehab plans, they go down there to get some extra work. So they can do as short as a couple weeks. The contracts can be
timing if
adjusted.
that's all you're looking for.
Right, but yeah, 5-6 weeks right in the middle. And a lot of guys that I talked to, that I only did it for a couple weeks, but a lot of guys that did it the entire time really loved it. Pays really well too, especially for minor league guys that haven't made it to the major leagues yet. And it's really, really good baseball. And it's, like I said, it's a different environment. Not necessarily the same pressure because you're not playing for the organization that employs you necessarily. It's not the same consequences if you don't perform, I would say.
Right, but let me ask you this: if baseball's the longest season, would you be worried about one of your players playing winter ball? They played the after in the minor leagues in July or October and November.
Yes.
And now they're too many innings.
Absolutely.
Too much.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of times, unless in certain situations where they really want to get another look at a guy to see if they want to maybe add him to the 40-man roster before the season starts, and they're coming up on a year that has some implications and timing is of the essence. Most of the time, it's for guys that didn't play the full season and they want to get their reps in, and so it's not overdoing it. But a lot of times, it's a lot easier to do that with position players. You got to be careful with pitchers doing that leading into spring training where
I'm
you only
sure.
got so many bullets.
Unless it was Bob Gibson, he could throw forever.
Yeah, you guys like that. Yeah.
Or this new Roki.
Yeah.
Roki
Dodgers.
doesn't sound like Roki cares about innings pitched either.
Yeah.
Nope, those guys don't.
Dodgers just keep
They're
getting better.
competitors,
They've
yeah.
got a couple. They signed their reliever, brought him back, right? Kirby Yates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at something right now on PTI on the screen. It says there just a second ago that said, "Can other teams keep up with the Dodgers?" And the answer is probably not. It
Yeah,
doesn't feel like
Probably
it.
not. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it.
And you know what I was thinking about earlier today driving down the road? We talk about this all the time with the NFL and the parity, how a team, these three teams missed the playoffs, got a top 10 pick, and then made the playoffs the following year, and back and forth and back and forth. Is baseball getting further and further and further away from parity? Because when you see it time after time after time,
More so than any other
Yankees,
sport.
Dodgers,
The
Yankees,
outliers
Dodgers.
continue to go that direction.
Absolutely.
More than any other sport, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, the A's.
And the Braves lost a lot of players so far. They've lost Soler and Darno to the Angels. They lost Fried to the Yankees, Gio Urshela to the Athletics. Charlie Morton's gone to the Orioles, and A.J. Minter to the Mets. That's a lot of bodies to replace.
It is.
The
it is.
Orioles move should be interesting.
And who went there? Charlie.
Charlie Morton.
Morton, yeah.
Charlie in that particular situation will probably be replacing Corbin Burns. So good luck, Charlie.
Again, there's the pressure, right?
I like, not,
veteran pressure.
Not exactly like what Profar's stepping into, but it's just getting further and further down the line, and I don't see anything changing anytime soon.
We just haven't done that much. We brought in the two players, right?
Yeah, we really haven't done anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a whole lot needed to do. I mean, a lot injuries last year was most of it. You don't want to change. Ironically enough, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And there was a lot of injuries, but maybe just change the training staff.
So out of these six people, which one do you think is going to hurt the Braves more? Is losing Fried?
Probably Fried,
Yeah.
just because of his
And I don't
skill,
think so.
and then obviously his up. I don't think he was at his full potential either is yet.
I'll go Darno.
I was going to go with Darno as well.
Fried's been a little here, a little there, and I understand, on this list, he's listed as the fifth best free agent. So clearly, yes, it is Fried.
Fried's listed as a fifth?
He was listed as the fifth best free agent this season. And, we need another starter. We've got Sale. We're hoping that who's our stud? Who's our stud who got hurt?
Not
to start?
Scotty Scheffler, but it's something that sounds like that.
Schwellenbach.
No, not Schweller.
Strider.
Strider's,
yes.
yeah,
Quadzilla.
Strider.
Spencer Strider.
Quadzilla.
So, after that, you start getting into Schwellenberg and Lopez and
Schwellenbach.
Anderson. So there's a lot. Getting another name would be a nice thing for that starting staff. But
Well, they're going to need a catcher too, because Darno
Darno was solid.
he was
Great
solid behind
defenseman.
Murphy, right?
correct, but neither here nor there. I agree. We do need a catcher. We did bring a guy up, showed him off a little bit last year, so clearly they thought that was a good thing. But last season, we had two of the best 6 catchers in all of baseball. So you get a little spoiled when your second best catcher
Yeah.
is still better than 26 other guys.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I agree with you. I think Darno is probably the biggest hit. Freed and Morton combined, I think, would be a bigger
lot of
hit.
innings.
But you're losing but just one person. I think Darno is a bigger hit. I agree.
Although I will say that who are we talking about again? Not this list.
Can you read my writing? Look at you.
Yeah, really.
Not really well.
Which one? AJ Minter? Is the bottom one?
Minner is a big
No,
one.
I can't. After looking at all that, I can't even remember
Now I'm lost.
what I started for.
Yeah. So, but baseball's just around the corner.
Pitchers and catchers.
Next couple of weeks, we'll start talking about our picks for the year. And as
Dodgers.
Nathan said, is anybody going to
Hard for
update
this
the
hard.
Dodgers? Since you won't be on for a while, you're going to take the Dodgers?
I mean, it's the super ultra early, way too whatever they call it now, the way too early pick is the Dodgers. Yeah, before seeing anybody even show up to camp. Yeah.
I saw something the other day. Kershaw, if he's healthy, is the 8th best starting pitcher for the Dodgers. The Dodgers.
The 8th best starting pitcher for the Dodgers?
The 8th best starting pitcher
Would
for
be
the
Clayton Kershaw.
Dodgers.
Right,
Wow.
right.
But you got Gonsolin, you got May, you got Roki. Is Otani going to start pitching at some point? It's just, their basket
Forgot about
runneth
May.
so
Forgot
far
about Big
over.
Red. I played against him in minor league.
May,
ball.
May
Against who?
May.
Big Red.
He wasn't
Oh, yeah?
throwing that hard in minor league ball, but you could tell he had it. I mean, he was still filling out. His body moved the right way. I mean, he was using all of that leverage just like he does now. He was one guy where it was just like, yeah, we'll let you get your inning here, and then you just kind of go up as you need to. He didn't really need much coaching.
Yeah, here's the Dodgers starting pitchers. Yamamoto, Otani, Snell, Glasnow, Sasaki, then Gonsolin and May. So Gonsolin and May are your 6th and
Right.
7th.
I forgot about, yeah. Wow. I forgot about
And that's
Glasnow
not to
Snell.
mention that you got Miller, who pitched phenomenal last year. I mean, it's
Well, and then in the back end of the bullpen, you got Gratterall, who's not even like your first or second closer, which is just bananas.
just added
And then they got
Yates.
Yates.
Yeah,
Yates is
exactly.
the closer, right? Yeah. So we'll talk about
and their minor leagues are better than everybody else. too.
anybody other than the Dodgers for the rest of the year,
That's
just
right.
to say the Dodgers are going to win.
Right, yeah.
According to Noah's dad.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to have that monogrammed on things now instead of Nathan. Just Noah's dad.
Noah's dad. I like it.
I lived the first 40 years of my life as Robert, and overnight I became Ansley's dad. It's all my mom called me until the
nice.
day she died. It's like, oh, Ansley's dad.
Oh, that's
I'm your
funny.
son.
Did you forget?
Call me the name you gave me.
My given name.
I was gonna say, if you're not gonna call me by it, could I just pick my own?
That's funny. All right, well, we got one more segment to go, but let's go ahead and get American Axes out of the way.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Access has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, the most memorable workouting ever, or just wanting to take something else off your bucket list, American Access has 3.5 Atlanta locations waiting for you in Marietta, Tucker, downtown at the Works, and the uber cool new mobile Axe experience that can be set up wherever you need. Keep an eye out for us at upcoming events and festivals, and look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635.
You can reach Dan Fisher where?
678-763-3635
And
to
we-
schedule your next adventure.
And we thank you, Dan, for being a sponsor of Three Guys Who Love Sports. Don't forget at 7 o'clock tonight, we'll be hosting the Owl Show. All about Kennesaw State sports. Got a couple of softball players on tonight, so very excited, looking forward to that. Emma
Friedel?
Friedel and,
Ooh, I like Emma
and
Friedel.
Madison
Miller.
Yeah. So they're coming on. Gonna
I
be-
wouldn't have come
pair
up
of good
with anything,
players.
but you gave me their first name, and I read their names earlier. I
There
felt
you go. So they'll be a little late, a little past 7. So we'll talk some KSU sports leading up to that. But look forward to having those
coming up.
girls. First time we've ever had softball players on, so we're very excited about that.
first of many.
First of many. I like the way you
Hopefully.
look at that. Yep. All right. So it's time to talk some college basketball. We're only 5 or 6 weeks away from March Madness. A lot going on locally. Georgia was on a run for a while. They were 12
Georgia's
and 2.
garbage.
They were 12.
Georgia
and 2.
is
Would you let me
garbage.
finish my
Yes.
sentence? Thank
Yes.
you. They were 12 and 2 and actually made it to the top 25. They got up to number 23. Now they've lost 3 or 4 in a row or something like that. Now they're not even in the getting votes. But I took a little notes here. They are 4 games out of first place in the SEC. Georgia Tech is 7 games out. They're 3 and 5 in the conference and 9 and 12 overall. Duke and Louisville are leading the ACC. And out of the local teams, you got to say that the Kennesaw State Owls are in a better position than anybody else. They are 4 and 3 in the Conference USA, 12 and 8 overall, and they're only 1 game back out of the lead. MTSU, Jacksonville State, and UTEP are all 5 and 2, and I think we beat Jack State.
We did. We did.
And I don't think I think we lost to MTSU up there. 'cause
We,
I was at
we
the
also
girls'
lost to
game.
UTEP.
I didn't remember if we played UTEP or not. So
Yeah, we
Just
played
played 'em.
UTEP this
Yeah.
weekend.
No. Oh,
lost
this
by
weekend- this
lost by
weekend.
1 or 2
2. I think it was 2
on Saturday night.
at UTEP, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Marty Robbins was in attendance.
Was he?
Yeah,
Beautiful.
he's at everything in the deep West Texas town of El Paso.
Are you saying that, or no? He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, he's,
Yeah. They just cart him in. Or?
yeah.
That's funny. So basketball, our top 5 are Auburn,
I love that.
Not bad.
Never.
Duke?
Not that I'm not a huge Auburn fan, but I just love seeing a mixed up top 25. I love it.
Yeah, it's a whole new ball
There-
game.
In the top 25, there's programs that you expect to be in the top 25. There's programs that used to be expected to be in the top 25. There's random programs. I mean, St. John's is 12 or 13 or something around
They
there.
got Rick Pitino. They're 15th. They got Rick Pitino as the head coach.
How about
Well, that helps.
You look at Auburn though, and here's a guy with Pearl. Pearl turned that Tennessee
program around?
program around
Until he
and-
got busted for cheating.
And correct, and then he took the job nobody, and I mean nobody wanted to go down to the plains. Guess what? He's doing pretty well down there.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
And number 3 is our good friend Rick Limpert's alma mater up in Ames. I'm thinking Ames.
Iowa State.
Yeah.
The Cyclones.
So the Cyclones are up there in the top 3.
They were close to getting beat against Arizona the other night. Caleb Love hit a 3/4 court shot. It was number 1 on Sports Center.
And then we got Alabama at number 4, and then Houston at 5. Houston's been hanging around. Kansas is the one that's still kind of flopping back and forth. I think they're down at 11 or something like that.
They're
right
at
now.
11 right now,
Yeah.
but those there's at least 8 teams every year. I don't care what year it is. Just go ahead and let me take Kentucky, Kansas,
Connecticut.
and a few other people.
UConn.
And
Not
regardless-
UConn.
and
You
reg-
do not want UConn.
But regardless of how they're playing right now, really matters not, because they've got all the Jimmies and the Joes, and if you can see something over the next 3 weeks, well then it really doesn't matter. Because even last year, remember Kansas? Oh, this team never shows up, and then they started showing up. But
What did the UConn coach, what's his name, Dan
Hurley.
When he did chew out the referees a couple of weeks ago, said,
Yes.
I'll have your job or whatever. Pretty cool.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I hate all the Hurleys except for him. I don't like his dad.
Did they make you want to Hurley?
No, but that he's a heck of a coach. I watch what he's done at UConn, and he's unbelievable.
Yeah. Who was Calhoun was a coach before Hurley, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jim Calhoun.
Yeah.
Won a national championship
Yeah.
with Kemba Walker
Yeah.
Kemba.
So,
and Jeremy Lamb and Shabazz Napier.
so remind us where you went to college, Nathan? It wasn't San Diego,
Well,
was it?
I'd wait
No,
until we're
Georgia
not
State.
talking
You
about
went to Georgia
NCAA basketball because this year we're 7 and 14.
Because Georgia State is?
Yeah, we're not doing so hot this year.
Yeah. I
You
so
know,
I left him out
historically,
of the
we've
local
hey,
schools.
that's okay. That's okay.
Ron Hunter
We don't
Jr.
deserve to be in there this year. That's right. RJ. He made us popular for a little while, and we downed Baylor in the first round of the NCAA playoff, or in the first round of March Madness in 2013 or 14.
I think it was 14.
14. I think you're right.
Because 13 I
was
want to say
14.
was FGCU.
It was 14. It was my sophomore
Dunk
year
City.
during my baseball season sophomore year. You're right. Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah, I know we've had our ups and downs, but this year is not one of the ups, so there's no reason to include them. I get it. They were not in the conversation for best local basketball
But
teams.
once again, one of the beautiful things about March Madness is that if you get hot for the right week, the same
right
way
time.
where I'm talking about one of these great teams getting hot and winning a title, all you got to do is get hot for the right week,
You
and
stay in
and you
range.
get that invitation.
Get invitation. That's right.
Don't ever forget that NC State in 1983 would not have made the tournament if they didn't win the ACC. They had to win
That's
every
right.
game
Don't
to
give
get
up.
there,
Never
and
give
then
up.
still won every game. So weird things can
That's
happen.
right. That's why it's watched like it is.
You talked
Just
about
crazy things
baseball
happen.
earlier being not an example of parity. College baseball, basketball has kind of gone the way of college football. They're trading players all the time too.
Well, in college basketball is a little different from the standpoint that these guys only have to be there for 1 year. So, in college football, where you're like, hey, I got to be here for 3 years. Let me jump here, do this, do this. A lot of these guys, a lot of the super top notch or top shelf
Right.
guys aren't doing it. But yeah, there's a lot of parity. There's a lot of moving. And, as we were just discussing, if you get a good coach in one of these cities, one of these good coaches, whether it be Patino or Pearl or somebody like that, they're pretty good at recruiting.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's- yeah.
this number 4 team, Alabama, who's on their team now,
Chris
right?
Youngblood,
Chris
CY.
Youngblood. They was at Kennesaw State 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Then they went to
There
the
you go.
University of South Florida for a year with Raheem, and then he said, "Well, I'm going to follow the money again. I'm going to Alabama."
Yeah.
So just an example of how you can move around. and I always use Steve Pearson, my buddy, as an example. A few years ago, I think the first year we did the show, that he was at Murray State, and everybody left as soon as the season was over, and they had one player, a walk-on the roster for like 2 weeks after the season was over. It's crazy, but just moving around. Do you see yourself where you have done something like that, Nathan?
I have always been, and it's without having had the opportunity to do it, I would like to think that I would have been somebody that stayed, because as a fan, I've always valued, like we talked about earlier, the guys that are loyal. And you hear guys that are willing to take cuts in their contract and are willing to take longer terms and less money to make sure that, it's the best thing for the franchise. And then you get the guys that are arguing for $500,000 when they're getting $30 million a year already. And it's just, I have a hard time seeing. But again, if without being in that situation, I would like to think that I would have been one of the loyal players and stayed and not transferred around.
Well, let's use baseball as an example. I know we're in the middle of college basketball segment, but do you think it would be better if they just started over?
Started over. What do you mean?
Scrap everybody and say we're going to start over, and
There's a draft.
and new people will emerge. Stars will emerge. I mean, that's the money's gotten so crazy that I'd like to see something like that
I think
happen.
they need to do some readjusting with some of the organizational stuff, some of the not organizational stuff, like the players union and the relationship and the terms between the owners and the clubs, or the owners and the players.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some adjustments there, and then what the A's are allowed to do is just absurd to me. I hate that.
Yeah.
I love the fact that the fans proved that it wasn't the city, it was the ownership and the organization. So I think there needs to be some changes, but yeah, the way it's going, it's getting close to being the only thing that, being from the IT industry, it's looking like it needs to be like a hard reset here soon, because that's the only thing that's going to fix it.
It's a hard reset. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes it's necessary.
And I'd love to see that. I mean, like I said, new stars would develop, and people. That's the way I felt when everybody went on strike. Hey, these guys, just let them keep playing, and eventually stars will develop, and it'll become the same.
But going back to right where you were just there, and I just decided to look something up, and I know this number is bunk because I saw how they kind of came about it, but this coming season, the Dodgers have a payroll of $301 million, over $301 million. Pittsburgh's offering $65 million. So you're never going to get parity at this league.
And they have one of the best players in the league.
for a very
Yes,
brief moment in
right.
time. Because, literally, Skeens is going to be a Yankee. He's going to be a Dodger.
Yep.
He's going to
Yeah.
be a Red Sox or a Philly.
Yep.
There's no ifs,
So
ands, or buts.
everybody else has become a like a farm system for the Dodgers and the Yankees. Yeah.
So then if you're the Pirates, what do? Do you watch the best pitcher for a year or two, and then do you just dangle them and go, I know you're leaving, so I want the second baseman from the Dominican, I want that pitcher from Fresno, and hope for the best because you're not going to retain him.
Yeah.
But it's just
And then it really becomes down to, do you want? You're most likely going to get something for him. You got to take, because it's not in your best interest or his best interest to keep him. What do you go after? What's best for your organization? And the Pirates are not historically good at doing
No.
that. Is the problem? As are the Angels.
Well,
As are the Angels.
If you're with the hottest girl at the prom, you really don't want to start shopping her around because
Before, right.
I'd like to go to the prom
Right,
a
I
few
wanna
more
enjoy
times.
my time
this
with
is pretty
this
good
player.
stuff.
Yeah.
But then you get to where somebody like the Giants, the New York Football Giants, you got nothing for Saquon. He's getting ready to win a trophy for somebody
That's
else.
hard to watch.
You better do something in between.
Yeah. So where's the Final Four this year?
Atlanta.
Is it
I think
here?
it's back in Atlanta. Yeah. Wait.
I don't think it's in
Oh, no, no,
Atlanta.
no, no,
The
that's
basket-
next
I-
year.
I was gonna
football
say,
championship was.
I should know the answer to this, and I really don't know
It's
the
next
answer.
year because they do have they are here in the.
It's either next
What-
year or the year after.
I think it's 26. Yeah, that's true. Maybe
26 is the
27.
World Cup. So I think
25 is it's San Antonio. I don't know why I didn't know that.
this year.
Yeah.
Is it Atlanta 26 or 27?
26 is Indy, 27 is Detroit,
Okay. I thought
28
it
is Vegas.
could've
Atlanta's
sworn I
not till 31.
Oh wow.
Wow.
I could have
But
sworn I saw
Atlanta
something
does
before
have a
26.
bunch of games.
Some
this year.
regionals.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
regionals.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Atlanta has a Sweet 16 in the Elite Eight this year.
Yeah. So pretty cool. Good things going on. San Antonio is a great place. Georgia Tech was in the Final Four the last time it was played in San Antonio. I think 2004.
No.
Yep.
They were in the Final Four in San Antonio, not the last time it was played in San Antonio.
No, the last time Georgia Tech was in a Final
Oh,
Four.
okay.
in San Antonio.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the big Australian.
They lost to
Luke.
UConn in the
Luke,
in the
I'm your
semis.
father.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that time of the year. Now that football's almost over, we got one game left. I mean, I'll start focusing more on some college basketball. I have watched a little bit more this year than I have in the past. Auburn's got a really good team. The one guy was
Janai
hurt for a
Broom.
couple of weeks. Yeah,
Janai Broom.
He was hurt, but he's back now. So
I'm very excited.
we'll see
for
what
March
happens.
Madness.
I'd like to watch Chris Youngblood play some. I haven't seen him play.
I just
Bama's good.
I just looked up his stats to see how he was for the year so far, and Youngblood is he's only played in 11 games, so he hasn't played in a ton of games.
He had a high ankle sprain at the beginning of the year.
Averaging 8.5 points a game, shooting 40%. So pretty good.
He's playing pretty well. I'm excited about some of the A10 teams. Loyola Chicago's been playing pretty well. Big fan of VCU this year. I think VCU has some juice to make a run. Brad.
Smart's not still there.
I was just gonna
No,
ask that. Shaka Smart.
no. Shaka is at Shaka went to Kentucky. He went to Kentucky.
Texas.
Went to Texas, and then he went to Marquette.
Marquette.
So the top 5 Marquette team right now
I was
is
gonna say,
coached by
Shaka.
Shaka
Yeah,
Smart.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Yep, there you go. That's another one. Marquette classic.
VCU's good this year. Bradley is really good this year. They were undefeated for like the first maybe 17 games of the year.
This could be a really fun March Madness
just
where,
gonna say.
where
Read down the top 25 for us, or at least the top 10. We only did the top 5.
I could tell you who 10 is.
Yeah. But Auburn, Duke, Iowa State, Alabama, and Houston is what I have in the top 5.
That's the
That's the
AP.
That's the
Florida. I have Florida.
that's
at
the
5.
coaches. You looked at the
Auburn,
coaches.
Duke,
Mine was
Iowa
AP.
State,
Florida,
Alabama,
Associated
Florida,
Press, yeah,
Houston,
Houston.
Michigan State, Tennessee, Marquette, Purdue, Kansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M. So all the
Mississippi
way
State's
through,
another good one.
all the way through there, Mississippi State.
Mississippi's a good ball club. I watched them one game.
I'd
Ole
say
Miss
St.
and Mississippi
John's
State.
is the first small school that's there, and that's at 15. But as Adam was saying, there's a lot of those little schools that actually seem like they might have some games. So even though you might not be ranked, you're a heck of an 11 seed.
I watched not VCU. I watched UC Irvine play UC San Diego this year. Those are top. Those are two teams with only a handful of losses. They are dangerous 11 seeds out of the Big West.
That's the Anteaters, right?
Yes.
I think the first 4 in this year are going to have some potential to do some damage.
Yes.
A lot of times they get overlooked. I think this is one of those years where it's really might be a good year for a 16 upset into 1. You never know.
And as of right now, the first 4 they have is Wake Forest, Texas, NC, North Carolina, and New Mexico.
First 4 out.
I like that New Mexico team. Dangerous
four
New
in.
Mexico
Last 4
team.
in.
I don't. Wake Forest has a good player. UNC's not good.
Right, but
They've
going
fallen
back-
off. Hubert Davis is going to get fired at the end of the year.
Going back to the Jimmies and the Joes, if they figure anything out in February or March,
Yes.
you know NC can line up
Yes.
with anybody come March.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I like? What I'm looking forward to most through the March Madness this year? Nathan sitting there in a lounge chair holding Noah,
Sleeping through the game.
watching a little basketball.
Both
So
of us
some
sleeping.
predictions since
Yeah, real quick, give us your Super Bowl prediction.
I think the Chiefs are going to do it. I want the Eagles to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so you're like America.
Yes.
No,
Any-
I want the Chiefs to do it.
Do you?
I want
do
the
you
Chiefs to do it.
Do you have anybody that you like for March Madness?
It's hard to especially after looking at the current top 25. It's hard to pick a total favorite, but like we talked about, I like Auburn. I mean, I know it's easy to say because they're sitting there at number 1, but
It is easy to say that. Yes,
I like
you are correct.
because they're not. I guess it's more that I want them to stay at number 1 because they're a team that not necessarily an underdog. They're a big name, but you don't see them up very high. In
But when you
NCAA
see
very
them, you
often.
think obviously here's a team that's playing defense and rebounding.
Right, and you're
Because
talking about a coach that came in and started really making changes, and that's like when you, what was it, Virginia, the last few years ago when they had
Oh, yeah.
D'Angelo Hunter?
Yeah.
Or no, what's his name? The guy for the plays for the Hawks
Virginia,
now.
DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter,
DeAndre.
thank
Yeah.
you. I mean, they were a defensive squad. And
They
that was
were
coaching,
pack
and I-
line defense.
I love that, and that's what Auburn is.
Big fan of the pack line defense.
I will
How are they
put
this
Nathan
year?
down for Auburn and Kansas City.
You said what, Robert?
How is Virginia this year?
Virginia's not good. Coach retired beginning of the year.
Coach quit right before
yeah.
the
Really?
season started.
They've
because
won-
of the portal and everything else.
Yeah.
He said, it was like a week and a half before the season started. He's like, "Yeah, I can't do this."
Everybody was
Oh.
behind Saban.
And look at
Saban was
they
like,
are-
I
"I'm
watched
done
them play. I watched them play Louisville. I want to say they've only won 8 or 10 games this year.
They are 2-7 in the conference, 9-11 overall, and that was a
Are you
team,
in Pensacola?
that was a team that was ranked before the coach quit a week and a half before the season started.
Yeah.
All right.
Coaching counts.
Well, Nathan, good luck, buddy.
Thank you very much.
for
I'm gonna
coming
need
in.
it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good luck
Thank you very
with
much.
Noah,
Always
and
an honor to be asked to be on the show.
send us pictures, and we'll post some of Noah on the show.
I'll have a bunch. You're gonna have to ask
You
me for 'em.
can't
I'll be
post
sleeping.
anything, Chuck.
Larry can.
There you go.
There you
All
go.
right. All right. So until then, guys, don't forget to know your numbers, cover your ass, get that prostate checked. We'll see you next week right here at Miller's Ale House. time for the Owl Show right
It's
here
okay, Chuck.
at Miller's Ale House. Happy to be here. My name is Chuck Burge, along with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kennedy. Robert, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Glad to hear it.
Me too. I'm
Glad you're okay.
We're all good.
We all need to relearn. I need to relearn to speak into the microphone. Been a great day, beautiful day here at Miller's. We have had our dinners now, and we're ready to talk some KSU sports. Can I get a big hooty-hoo?
Hooty-hoo.
All right, we're just get a commercial out of the way before we get into Adam's recap of the week.
Adam's recap of the week. That sounds so
Adams,
good. Making preparations for when you're not around anymore is not easy. Nobody likes to talk about their own mortality, and we can talk about it next week. Doesn't always fit into the big picture. And that's why you should contact our friend Ron Smith at Senior Life Insurance. Whether you're being buried or cremated, costs keep going up, but you can lock in a price today and take that final expense off your to-do list. Do your loved ones a favor and take care of your final expense so that when your time does come knocking, they won't have to worry about it. If you're age 1 to 85, they have a plan ready for you, so please contact our friend Ron and his team at 440-561-0758.
Call Ron where?
At 440-561-0758.
And thank you, Ron, for being the sponsor of the Owl Show right here. Got some softball players showing up here in a few minutes. We're going to be interviewing them, but until then, Adam Crooks is here with his recap of what's happened this week. What you got?
We tried to have a show when they had no class, but they always have class. So
No, you have call me when you have no class.
Hey.
One of the great Rodney Dangerfield lines of all time. All right, Adam, hit it.
Okay. Well, week started on Thursday. Men's and women's basketball played against New Mexico State. Men went to Las Cruces. Women played at home. Both got the dub. So that's what's important.
Very nice.
Tennis was supposed to go down to DeLand, Florida,
snowed
to
out.
take on Stetson. They did not make it down there. So they technically took a loss, but they didn't really play. Yes, Stetson didn't have a snowplow.
It's crazy how they haven't managed one of those yet.
Yes, yeah. Men's and women's basketball played again on Saturday. Women played at home against UTEP. Men played at UTEP. Men took a 2-point loss. Women beat UTEP. I'm just saying, the women